I started writing while I was a lawyer. I liked to write in high school. In college, in high school as well, but in college, it's not something I ever considered would be a career or a vocation. I just liked to write as a hobby. While I was a young litigator, I was somewhat frustrated in that, first or second year associates don't really get to go try cases. You do a lot of motion practice, a lot of research, a lot of site checks to make sure briefs are updated and accurate. But the thing that you go to law school for, to stand up in front of the jury and deliver these great closing arguments, they're not quite tossed at the young litigator with great abundance. So I was doing a lot of motion practice. I was a little frustrated by that. And during that frustration, I got the idea of a young litigator who was so frustrated, and what would he do to manufacture a big case for himself so he could jumpstart his career. And I started writing a screenplay about this young, ambitious, fictional lawyer. And I would actually write the screenplay in the courtroom during a lot of my cases. Motion practice, the way it worked is you would go to the courthouse. There'd be a long list. You'd be there with 30, 40, sometimes 50 other lawyers, waiting to argue their cases. You could be there 20 minutes before you're called. You could be there 2 hours. I would be sufficiently adrenalized or animated to argue my case that I'd be sitting in a courtroom. I was not able to concentrate on other legal work. I had already prepared the case that I'd come to argue, but I needed something to do, so I kind of detoured into this imaginary world and started writing the script. That, for some reason, that escape worked for me in the courtroom while I waited for my case to be called. About a year later, I actually had the semblance of a screenplay. It was a bit terrifying, actually, to come to the end of it, because now I would have to give it to someone to actually read. And for that whole year, I got to delude myself that I wasn't just a lawyer. Well, maybe I was a writer, too. But now someone was going to read it, so that fantasy could be quickly dispelled. Someone could read it and say, you're a good lawyer. But I did manage to sell that screenplay, and the timing was fortuitous. There was a gentleman named Stephen Bochco developing a law show called LA Law, right here, about 100 feet from where we sit in that old writers building out the window. And my script made its way to him, and I came out, and he was looking for lawyers/writers, but he really wanted some lawyers so they could really feel authentic. So I came out to meet with him and ostensibly do an episode. And as I said, as soon as I met him, the first meeting, I kind of knew that I probably would not be practicing law anymore. I came to join them for the first season, took a leave of absence from my law firm. LA Law became a hit. I got a call from my law firm and said, "You're not really coming back, are you?" And I said, "Probably not." And here I stayed.